All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Rogue Deck Chronicles. My name is John, and as always, sitting across from me here is Dean.
Hello, everyone.
So, Dean, we're kind of in a lull period today, huh?
Yeah, it's still beginning of the season, and I know I've been excited for Stellar Crown. That comes out on Friday.
Well, yes, officially release day is Friday. Some of us may have gotten stuff beforehand.
Well, we went to places that've done pre-releases, so if they're sanctioned by Pokemon and they did a pre-release, they are allowed to sell starting Monday, so we took advantage of that.
100%.
So I know, and then tomorrow, or today, as the day of this being released, at 1 o'clock, we can start playing those cards on live. So I'm excited for that. I have
to be teaching a class right then.
Oh, I'm working, so
I want to start playing.
So I'm excited for that, and I know we both bought booster boxes.
Oh yeah.
Well, any good pulls for you?
I got out of pre-release, I got the Full Art Briar.
That's awesome.
I got, what did I get out of the? I got the Full Art Hydrapple.
That's right, yeah.
Out of pre-release. And then out of the booster box, let me pull up the pic because I can't remember because my brain is mush right now. It's been a long day.
I took my photo too because I always take photos of my hits.
Yeah, so... There we go. Making my own music there. Then from the booster box, I got the Full Art Galvantula, which I'm excited about. I got a Terrapagos, the Full Art Orthworm, a Full Art Crispin, which, even though it's not going to see a lot of play, that was fun to pull. I also got the Full Art Bulbasaur.
Oh, the Trainer Gallery one? Yeah.
So cute.
Our friend...
So cute.
I know we're going to show our friend that is obsessed with Bulbasaur, and he's going to, die over that.
And then I got the Full Art Gulpin as well. So that
I like the Gulpin. That the Trainer Gallery looks really nice.
And then I also got the Grand Tree. So that was my pulls. How about yours?
So at the pre-release I pulled the Blastoise EX, which is just a reprint from 151. And then I also pulled a Terrapagos, regular one. So I was excited about that because I'm building that deck. And then in the booster box I pulled 3 A-Specs. So I think that's all of them from this set.
Yes, you got all 3. I got
all 3. Yeah.
I didn't mention the bomb because the bomb's not really.
Nah.
It's an A-Spec, but it's kind of there.
It's there. I pulled another Terrapagos. I got a Full Art Metachamp. My booster box wasn't really good compared to other booster boxes I've done in the past.
There wasn't really much from this set, though.
Yeah, I got a bunch of Fan Rotoms, a bunch of Bouffalants.
Well, that's good for you with the Terrapagos.
Yeah, I got 3 Area Zeros. I got a couple Glass Trumpets, some Briars, Crispins. I got playable cards.
Yeah,
but overall, compared to what my coworker, she showed me what she got from her ETBN booster box. I'm like, yours was cracked.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Yeah. But we got Pokemon product. I'm happy about that. And
then our friend Joe got the gold Galvantula, which I'm like, I want, but I don't. I don't want to spend the money on that.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't play it. I would just hold on to it. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we've kind of mentioned it. We both have decks that we're looking to try out. I'm not sure how well they're going to go. I definitely want to do the Galvantula. I'm looking at the Blissey build.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to do some playtesting of that this week just to see how it goes. And I know you're looking to build the Terrapagos.
Yeah, the Checkmate version specifically, but I'm open to whatever. I also bought Palkia. I think that's going to make not a big resurgence, but Area Zero does make it a little more powerful. But with all the electric Pokemon out there, it may just flop.
That also, like we talked about last week, it takes a lot to get that set up.
Yeah.
It really does. So, I mean, that's the problem with these. Yes, you use your V-Star power to power it up, and you can get 3 into the discard and then put, if you're utilizing Radiant Greninja, and then pull those back out. But that's like to get 3, unless you're using an Ultra Ball to discard another one, that's turn 3 and you're attacking. You need to be attacking by turn 2.
Well, you can, if you get the Radiant Greninja out turn 1, then you can get 2 that way, and then either Earthen Vessel 1 away, or like you said, Ultra Ball 1 away. You can, it's doable, but it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
So
I just bought them because they were cheap right now.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, $1.
And I mean, you can
do
always,
that.
some people like the Palkia build, of Goldango did really well. I personally don't like the Palkia build, because I have my other build that I play.
Yeah, you do. I finally got the last cards for it, so.
Hey, I got 8th place at a challenge that had 37 people with it, so I will take it.
Oh, yeah, you did well with it. But yeah, that's us looking into Stellar Crown, and can't wait for this weekend to see all the streamers, and then this weekend's also the start of the competitive season with Baltimore Regional.
I know. We have a couple people that we're going to be keeping tabs on as we go through and see how that is going. I think Justin said he's going.
Yep.
Right? Justin's going,
and we have some other friends that are going to be up there competing, and then I know some of the big names are going to be there.
So we may have to bring Justin back on sooner than expected, just to see. I think it would be good to see his opinions on how the regionals have changed now, especially since this is the first regional, now that it's the new way to get to Worlds. With the new...
that and to make day 2, they changed it. Right. So now you go X2 versus going X2-1.
Right.
So it's definitely, a lot will be different.
Yeah.
So, Justin, if you're listening to us, you're going to be our boots on the ground reporter.
I think he'll love that.
So yeah.
But speaking of competitive play here, with with us talking about the regional coming up and everything, I think it'd be a good. We haven't really talked about how to actually get into competitive play. We've been talking about competitive play ever since we started this podcast, but we really haven't told people how to actually get into it. And there's a lot of resources out there to help people get into it. And we've mentioned some on the podcast before, but I think it'd be a good way to dive in. This would be a good time, since it's really just beginning the start of the competitive season. I think it would be a good time to talk to people about how to get into it.
Yeah, I agree. We already went through kind of quarter 1, which was really only cups and challenges. So if you start now, you're not really going to be falling too behind.
Especially with the change to only 4 best finishes.
Yeah, so you have plenty of time to catch up. And it'll be nice just to have a episode where we talk nothing but how to get into competitive play. Like you said, this is the first regionals this weekend. You're not really going to be missing much.
Right.
So if you want to start now.
Right.
Especially with all the resources now that are out, they make it so easy to really grab something and go. Versus I remember when you started, which is only a couple years ago, it was more like we had to learn on our own or find resources on our own.
Yeah.
Pokemon is helping us out a lot.
So much more now.
So yeah, this episode is just going to be, how do I get into competitive play? What advice we want to give? What resources that we know of are out there. So just for those who are listening, sit back, and if you're into the competitive scene, just use this to take notes to inform your friends that are interested. If you're brand new and want to know what it's like, I hope the information that we give you will be very beneficial for y'all.
Yep. All right. So, start off with, I have a question for you, Dean. If I was a brand new player who may have been going to locals for a little bit, but really hasn't done a tournament before, what would be the most important thing for me to do? Would it be for me to figure out what deck I'm going to play, or would it be for me to figure out where I'm going for my first tournament?
You see, that's a trick question.
You caught me. Okay.
Yeah, because yes, those two things are important. Like, you need to know what deck you're playing to play in any tournament, whether CP related or not CP related. And you also need to know where you're going. You can't just go to any random shop and I'm here for a tournament, and they look at you like, it's Star Wars Day. We don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
But to be able to enter any tournament, you need something called a player ID or a pop ID.
Yep.
That's a lot of people.
Any sanctioned event, actually.
Yes. So any sanctioned event, Pokemon has something called a player ID or a pop ID. All it is, it's your way for Pokemon to know who you are. You just give that number to the league organizer when you sign up for a tournament, and it helps you keep tracks of your records of your placements in tournaments, and also, more importantly, it helps you get your CP because everything's tied to an account. So you just go to Pokemon.com. There's a place in there where you can sign up for an ID, and it's very easy. I think it took me 2 minutes when I first did it years ago. You get a unique number just for you, and you can just save it on your phone. You can have access to it whenever you want, and you'll need to give that to the league organizer, and they can take it from there.
Yeah, and I mean, nowadays, well, like when we first started playing, it wasn't this way, but nowadays, your VG is the same ID. You can link Pokemon Go to the same ID. You can link your Pokemon Live to the same ID. Like, everything is linked to this ID, which is really nice. It's all in one centralized place now.
Yeah, so if you're a player that does both TCG and VG, like John mentioned, you don't have to get 2 separate accounts. You just have to make sure you keep track of what points are for what event.
Which
that's
they
easy.
Do online for your player ID page anyway. So My Pokemon, I think it's the My Pokemon page or My Play page.
Yeah.
So they definitely do that. So definitely, if you're going to a league regularly, I definitely would talk to your league organizer. Normally, like with our league, we give people their player ID the first day they show up. Just so that way, because you also get, it's not championship points, it's play points for every time you show up to a league, and the league organizer is supposed to keep track of that. So you get that. You also get play points when you show up to sanctioned events that add up, and I believe that that's going to play into the new reward system that Pokemon is talking about revamping since the new world qualification structure has been created. So I believe that is going to change now with that, and that's going to be included somehow.
They haven't made any announcements, but I was actually going to mention that too. Go to as many events as you can, because Pokemon did say it's going to be related to going to tournaments and all that later on. All that's to be determined. We don't know. We'll wait until Pokemon makes their official announcement sometime this year, hopefully.
Yep.
But it doesn't hurt you either. Like, get the experience, meet new people, play against other decks. Like, getting a Pokemon player ID opens up all those possibilities.
Agreed. So, in my opinion, the next thing that you would need to do is actually determine where you're going to go play the tournament.
Yeah.
Once you decide what tournament you're going to, you definitely have time to figure out what deck you're going to play. So I definitely recommend figuring out where your tournament is. And most leagues are going to host a tournament, a challenge once a month. They may not host a cup, but they probably will be hosting at least challenges, and that's once a month thing. So definitely talk to your league organizer to find out when the next challenge is. But I think also we need to talk about what the different types of tournaments are, because we've mentioned them before. I don't think we've really sat down and said, all right, this is what this type of tournament is and what it's going to entail, and this is what this one's going to entail. So stuff like that. Now, I will put a disclaimer out there, because this has still not been resolved, which as judges, we are sitting here going,
I think I know what you're talking about. It has been resolved.
Okay, I hadn't seen an update yet.
Are you talking about the new best of one or the top cut in challenges?
Yeah.
So we can choose.
Okay, good.
So it's been resolved. You can choose which way you want to go.
Okay. So, for those that don't know, there are technically 5 different types of tournaments that you can go to for Pokemon.
For CP earning.
For CP earning and for the card game. Video game and Go, they're different a little bit.
I think actually video games more like what we do now with TCG, so...
Video games more aligned with us. Go is a little bit different.
Ish. So every... between the 3 games, you have challenges, cups, regionals, international championships, and worlds. They all have that. We're going to specifically talk about the train card game, mainly because that's what we do. We don't know the specifics about how to get your invite with VG and even less so with Go. I know we held
I used
events.
I used to be really into Go when it like first came out. I love the meme of the when you see a gaggle of Pokemon players and it's the flamingos all walking around like that was 100% me. But now I'm just like, I don't have the time to do that. So,
but yeah, mostly what we'll be talking about is our experience with the trading card game. However, starting this season, I believe the video game is kind of following a similar suit. They do have all those tournament structures. The way you earn your invite or the way you earn your world invite may be different. If you're interested in the VG scene, I would recommend trying to find a community that does that and talk to them specifically. Yeah. I don't want to give false info out there. But in the local level, you have tournaments called challenges and cups.
Yep. And challenges are going to be once a month, like we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how many people are there, you're going to have different amount of rounds. And then, like Dean was saying, there was something that Pokemon put out saying that it was really confusing in the organizers or like the judges' handbook. It said that we were going to have to do top cuts for challenges, which normally your challenges are during the week. They're normally during your normal league times, and most leagues are starting somewhere around 6 to 7,
yeah.
Maybe 7:30. And if we were going to have to do top cut, that would be insane. I know I went to the challenge that I was talking about earlier. That challenge was on a Friday night, and we had 37 people. I finished the whole entire tournament, and I didn't leave until 12:30.
Yeah.
So if we had to do top cut on top of that, oh my gosh, that would be insane.
Yeah.
So you're not going to have to deal with top cut. We'll talk about what top cut... Oh, let me rephrase that. 95% of the time, you're not going to have to deal with top cut at a tournament.
In my opinion,
for challenges.
Yeah, for a challenge, a organizer probably won't go that way unless it's... The only way I really see it will be if the players want that.
Right.
And obviously, if the players want that, make them happy, go ahead and do it. I probably would be a no for that just because, like John said, this usually happens during your local league time. We don't get the league until like 6 p.m.
Right.
I have to go to work the next morning.
Exactly.
I'm old. I have to sleep.
You're not that old.
But
stop trying to give yourself too much credit there.
Yeah. So when people ask me about challenges, I always call them, better black words, baby's first tournament. It is your very entry level tournament. Usually it's just casual play, so whoever comes to your shop normally, those will be your opponents. Sometimes you'll get people from out of your store, but normally just local players. You don't get someone from like across the state or from several hours away for a challenge. So you'll be going against people you generally know. That's more casual and laid back from my experience. I have been to challenges where it's been super serious, but the point is to introduce players to this is the first step into gaining CP.
Right. There's
very low risk. You only get 15 CP for winning, and there's usually pack pricing too, depending on where you go. Where we go, we usually get packs for winning first.
Normally packs or store credit, depending on what happens. But the other thing is this is best of one format.
Yes.
So it is one game. Whoever wins, 30 minutes. It depends, depending on where you go. Different. It's normally 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Some organizers give a little bit more time. Why, I don't know, but
they have the freedom to do it. So,
but normally it's 30 minutes and best of one. So whoever wins, and you go from there. Now, sometimes with challenges, and even sometimes with cups, you're going to run into a situation where you don't have, for the juniors and seniors, you don't have enough of them to fire off their own tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So you are going to sometimes have games where you are a master, or you're a junior or a senior, and you're going up against a master, what have you. So always keep that in mind, that gameplay levels in different age groups are going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
I will 100% say we have some seniors that can whoop our butts if they want to.
And they have.
And they 100% have. But it's always good on the Masters players to be a little bit more lenient in how they handle situations with juniors and seniors. Know that they are still probably learning the game. Even if they are competitive, there may be new mechanics that have been brought out with the newest set, and they're still trying to figure those out. They may not have been introduced to some cards because the deck that you're playing really isn't a deck that a junior or a senior would play or go up against. So always keep that in mind. This is supposed to be a community that is friendly, that's what Pokemon is. Also remember, Pokemon is geared towards kids and trying to introduce them into the community. So keep that in mind, knowing that in these kinds of tournaments, you will sometimes play up against younger age groups if you're a Masters player.
Yeah, and not to say you should give them the win. It is for points. It is a competitive setting. But yeah, be gracious, be lenient. If they need to read a card, honestly, Masters do the same thing. Let them read the card. Let them know what it does. Explain the card to your opponent.
Right.
And that same thing going Master against Master. If you're with challenges, you tend to go against newer players or less inexperienced players. So if you have been in the game for a while, use this opportunity to help teach your opponent mechanics, how to play. I'm not saying that you should give them the win, like we mentioned earlier, or like go really hard. You got to judge based on what you're seeing at your scene.
Right. Like there are certain seniors in our area that we have played many a time, and if they do a misplay that requires a judge call, or they do something that is out of operations and stuff like that, yeah, they're Worlds qualifiers. They've been playing the game for a while. I will do a judge call on them.
Mm-hmm.
But there are other players that I know are still learning the game and are still getting into it, and I don't want to create a bad experience for them where they don't want to continue to play the game anymore.
Yeah.
And so I may still, depending on the situation, I may have to be like, hey, I do need to get a judge for this because of what's happening, but there's a difference in the situation of way I will handle it.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is, normally Masters, yes, it's 16 and up, or 17 and up, I should say, but you're the adult in the situation. Act like the adult in the situation.
Yeah.
Is all I'm saying there. So just keep that in mind, that there are going to be situations like that.
So those are challenges. There's a lot, and with every tournament, a lot of the concepts are the same. More players will probably play in challenges than any other tournament.
I would actually say in our area specifically, we tend to see more at cups than challenges.
I was just going off of...
in general
Pokemon,
okay. Yeah.
I looked on the leaderboard last season, and there's a lot of players that just have like 10, 15, 12 points.
Right.
So you tend to just get those local people and the league organizers like, hey, you should compete. It's fun. You're already here. Let's just do it. So the next level up is a cup. So a cup is a lot like a challenge. It is held at the local level. So you still go to your card shop or wherever card shop you'll find online. One thing we forgot to mention, the event locator. Use that.
Yes.
It is a great resource. Honestly, I think it's very user-friendly. As long as you type in your zip code or your address, there's certain filters to help you out with what you're looking for. Click the filter, and you can see all the events that is a sanctioned Pokemon League.
Yep, so it'll give you leagues, it'll give you tournaments, it'll give you even pre-releases, who's hosting pre-releases.
Exactly,
all that kind of stuff. And also you're able to filter for cups versus challenges, all that.
And TGC versus VG versus Pokemon Go. It does it all.
Yep.
So.
And we're going to be giving a lot of different resources in today's episode. So in the show notes, I will definitely be including all of the links that we've gathered for this, because we're going to be giving different resources on how to build decks later on. We're going to talk about different maybe content creators that we follow that we normally try and base our decks off of because they have more time to dive into all the cards than we do. So definitely going to talk about that here, but I'll definitely include the Pokemon locator here in a little bit. But the cups, as we were talking about, cups are going to be held quarterly.
Yes.
And they are definitely a little bit of a step up from the challenges. You're going to definitely get more people from outside of your area coming over.
And definitely
very
more
competitive
players, yes.
Because this is like Dean said, challenges are baby's first tournament. This cups are going to be more like, all right, you're playing in a tournament now.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only are you going to have your normal best of one rounds like you would with a challenge, you then go into Top Cut. And so, Dean, do you want to talk about what Top Cut is?
Yeah, so as we mentioned before, you usually play Swiss rounds, which is every round you'll go against your opponent, and they'll have a similar record to a similar record of you that you haven't played before. So there's a system that the league organizers use that will tell you who you're going to be matched against. After you play all the rounds in Swiss, they'll get the top X amount of players, and the number is based on how many people are at the cup per division.
Yep.
So one example is when we went to a cup last month, we had, I believe, 16. Was it 16? We had 16 masters in where we were at. So because of that, we only had a top cut of 4 players. I believe the cutoff is 17 or 18 now.
17.
17. So once you hit 17, you get a top cut of 8. So basically, the top 8 players will play in a bracket-style tournament at that point.
Was it? Actually, no, I may be wrong. I think we were at 30 and we needed 31 or 32, something like that.
I'm getting all the tournaments mixed up.
I think
we play in so many.
Yeah.
But you have to look at what they're called kickers, what will make it top 4 cut versus top 8 cut, and also CP. Getting your CP is important there too, because that tournament we went to, we missed it by 2. I know that much. It was really
for
close.
top 16 points.
That's what it was.
We had enough for top 8 cut. It was
no, we only had top 4 cut. Remember, because I made top 8 of that tournament, and I didn't.
Oh, you're
play.
talking about COC. I was talking about For Honor. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we're talking about, as we said, we go to too many tournaments. Depending on what's happening, you'll get different cuts for kickers. You'll get different, which is going to be what your top cut is. You also get different kickers for your points as well.
Yeah. So that's all in the handbook. We'll put a link for the handbook in.
I'll put a link for the handbook. I'll also put a link for the new updates for the kickers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, which that changes every season too.
Pretty much.
So that's something you just have to be on top of, and your league organizer and judge will be on top of that as well. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to them.
And sometimes us judges are trying to learn as we go too. So
yeah, it's an ongoing process. Keep in mind, most organizers, most judges, they are volunteers. They're typically not working at the store. Some do. From my experience, a lot of people just do this out of their free time and their love for the game. So be patient with your judges and your organizers. But yeah, with cups, the big difference is you do the top X will play in a single elimination tournament where number 1 will go against the bottom and so on until you get a final winner overall. And then top cut, it's typically, keyword typically, best of 3 50 minutes.
Yep. Which
is important because that is how long you get in a normal regional Swiss round, which we'll talk about next.
Yep. So yeah, so with your top cut for cups, you're going to go into best of 3, but it's then going to be a single elimination tournament.
Yes.
So first place, normally if you have top 8, first place will play 8th place, second place will play 7th place based off your rankings, and you go from there.
Yes.
Now, as I said, it's single elimination. So if you go all the way, if you think about it, let's say our normal cups, we run anywhere from 4 to 5 Swiss rounds before top cut. Then if you have your top 8, you're playing another 3 rounds of best of 3.
Yeah.
So most cups are going to be a whole day tournament if you're going the whole time. If you're placing first or second, you're spending about
8 hours.
8 hours.
Yeah.
At the tournament. So just keep that in mind. Normally your cups are on weekends because of that time constraint.
Granted, we have been on a weekday night cup, but that was special circumstance that we were with.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was fun. That was fun.
But that was so weird.
With cups, another aspect to consider is the keeping of the rules is much stricter. So people are going to be on top of their A game. You will get deck checked. Some people will get deck checked, and you normally will get deck checked if you make top cut.
Yep.
So your sleeves have to be according to your sleeves, your cards, everything will have to be according to the guidelines posted in the player's handbook. That's an important resource to know before going into these tournaments. You have to know what type of sleeves can I use, what will give me penalties. Because judges will be more stricter compared to a challenge. Because like we mentioned with a challenge, there's newer players. Not saying that every challenge is very lenient, and we're not saying that, but cups are taken way more serious because there's more involved.
Hey all you rogues out there, we just wanted to take a quick second to say thank you to our sponsor, For Honor and Glory. They are a great support to us and have all the things you need related to Pokemon, Magic, D&D, Warhammer, and more. You can go on over to forhonorandglory.com and use discount code ROGUE24, that's forhonorandglory.com, and discount code ROGUE24 for 10% off your entire online order. Alright, let's get back to talking about those sneaky decks. Yep. So, next we go on to regionals, and this is where you really get into the true competitive scene.
Yes.
Like, cups are your entry level. Yes, you're going to have the people that are going to cups are definitely, the competitive people that are going to cups, I should say, are definitely going to regionals as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
sure.
You have to. So, regionals are going to be, I think we have, 8 in North America each year? And
between 8 and 10.
8 and 10, and then 8 and 10 in the Europe.
About Europe, about 3 to 4 in Latin America.
And then Oceania is
2 to 3.
2 to 3, yeah. So, regionals, there is no, really, it's the cap of how many people can go is based off of where the venue is being held. So, your regionals, you are going to have Pokemon Go, video game, and the card game all in one tournament hall.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people. People soup.
Orlando, which this last year, which I played in, Dean was judging at, there was over 2,400 masters.
And that's just a masters.
For the card game alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, in between rounds, it was fun to try and walk anywhere. But, like Dean mentioned, when we go into regionals, you are going to be playing best of 3 every single round. It is going to be Swiss, and the way it works is regionals are a 2-day tournament. You have your day 1, which everybody's going to be a part of. And again, we're going to give the links for the player's handbook and the cuts and everything like that. But to go to day 2, you have to have 21. If the regional is as big as most regionals have been lately, you need 21 points.
Which is basically an X2. So whatever amount of rounds we have, minus 2, that's how many wins you'll need.
Right. So like if it's a smaller regional, you may only need 18 points, what have you, but when you win a best of 3, and even in your cups and your regionals, the way that, or cups and challenges, I should say, the way that they're basing off who's in what place and all that is a point system as well, not only just off your record.
Mm-hmm.
Your record helps determine the points that you have, though. So you get 3 points for a win, 1 point for a tie, 0 points for a loss.
Yep.
So that's why we're saying X2, because the way they've built out the format, no matter how many rounds you have, if you go to a regional like Orlando that's over 2,000 people for Masters Division, you're going to have 9 rounds of play on your first day.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. I played all 9 rounds.
Oh, I've done that before, too.
Oh, yeah, you day 2'd, so you know. But, yeah, for those that don't understand, if you think about it, you're doing best of 3. So let's say on an average, you play 5 out of your 9 rounds are go to game 3. Let's say on average.
Yeah.
That's a decent average there. You're playing at the very least 15, then 4 to 8. You're playing 23 games of Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
In a day.
Back to back.
Back to back. to
back.
back. Because they used to give you a lunch break. They no longer give us lunch breaks.
It depends on the venue and their time frame and all that. So actually, I think that's a good point to bring up. Be prepared.
Yeah.
These regionals are much longer. Like we said with Cups, you're there all day. But they typically give you lunch breaks. They sell food at these shops. These are actually at convention centers. If you want to buy food, you are battling 3,000 other people in line during the limited break time you do get between rounds.
Recommend protein bars, bananas.
Something easy to go.
Yep.
I actually brought my lunch at one tournament.
Yep.
I came with a lunchbox, put it in my backpack, and in between rounds, if I ended a round early, I was outside the food hall eating chicken.
Yep. For those of you that have played card games before, and been to tournaments like this, you know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So
it's not for the newest players, for sure.
No.
If you want to challenge yourself,
from experience, it is not from the newest players.
Yeah, you were like that.
I am the
2 Orlandos ago.
2 Orlandos ago, I had done one challenge, and I'm like, "Ooh, I'm going to go to regional because everybody else is going to the regional," and I dropped after round 5, I think.
I went 5-4 that tournament. I was playing Arc Duraludon.
Yeah,
I almost made day 2.
Your deck was the deck that made me cry because I didn't even know it existed.
It wasn't me, though.
So. It wasn't you, no. No, because we would be giving each other crap about it the entire time if it was us. But, yeah, no, I was one of those Mew players, for those that remember the meta game last February. It was, I was a Mew VMAX player and hit Arc Duraludon and had no idea what it did. And I was like, oh, I can't play the game. Cool.
I'm assuming you didn't play Path at that point.
I did.
Well, you could have done stuff. But it was your first time hitting it. You didn't know.
I didn't know how to play around that. You kidding me? So, anyways.
So, that's a regional. The next level is international championships, which are very similar, to be honest.
To an extent.
Yes.
They're extremely similar, but they're one event that's held every year in our now 3 regions that host them. I feel sad for Oceania that doesn't get one anymore.
Yeah.
Why? We have no idea.
Yeah.
But,
oh well.
So there's one in North America, which this coming year it's going to be held in New Orleans again.
New Orleans.
Then there's one in London for the EUIC.
Yep.
And then it's Sao Paulo, Brazil again for LAIC.
Yep.
So,
and that's coming up in a couple months.
Yep.
LAIC.
So those are going to be 3-day tournaments. The reason that those are 3-day tournaments is you have your normal standard day 1, day 2, and we forgot to mention for the regionals and above, at the end of day 2, after however many rounds you play day 2, you have a top cut again. So you do have a top 8 cut. Now, what's different from previous years is that you will have a single elimination unbalanced, or I forget the exact term for it, but it's like uneven or unbalanced
asymmetrical cut,
asymmetrical, there we go. Yes. Asymmetrical cut. Meaning if anybody is tied for 8th place, it used to just be off of what we call resistance, which is mathematical equations giving you the percentage of your opponent's wins and your opponent's wins. It's a lot of math that we don't like dealing with. So what we're doing now is an asymmetrical cut. So whoever is tied points-wise and record-wise for 8th place plays a single elimination tournament to get into 8th place. So, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because some of these tournaments, we have seen a lot of people tied for 8th place.
Yes. So, but I think with the new way of making into day 2, because it is going to be a lot stricter, which means a lot less people will be making day 2.
There's also less rounds in day 2 now.
Yes,
as well.
there's 4
It used
rounds.
to be 15. It used to be 15 total, so you would play 6 rounds on day 2. You're now only playing 4. So it does give more time for that asymmetrical top cut. Also, it gives more time, especially at regionals, for people to, go home.
Yes.
Because it used to be, especially nowadays, I have to be at work on Monday. If I make top cut, I can't make it back home for work on Monday.
Yeah.
So for those of us with actual jobs and lives, we're very thankful for that. But international championships, the way that those are different is that it starts Friday instead of a Saturday. Mm-hmm. And the reason that they do that is they are going to, on the live stream, showcase all of the first and second, the championship rounds.
Yeah, the finals matches.
The finals matches. So, and what's nice, what's kind of cool is they do that for every age division, not just the Masters. Because with your regionals, they're only streaming the Masters division.
Yes, and they do this for every game as well.
Yep, so you'll get your juniors, seniors, and Masters for video game, TCG, and Go. All on the same day. So they call that Championship Sunday.
Yeah, it's fun to watch, especially if you don't really know about the other games. Watching it, it gives you more insight about the competitive play on there, and just seeing the commentators do their thing. It's really entertaining. I did that with the Worlds.
Yep.
Watching all that. So, and then
Worlds is the exact same thing. It's just everybody from the world that qualified. So that's a kind of look into the competitive scene and the different types of tournaments that you're going to be subjected to, is the way I'm going to say that. Yes. If you want to be competitive in Pokemon, you got to play in these tournaments. Now, the next thing that you need to know about is your deck. And if you've been following the podcast for a while, you know about decks. We've talked about building decks before. We talk about a rogue deck of the week every week.
We are a resource for decks.
Yes, we are. We can say that we are now too. But the way that we go about building our decks is kind of like a mishmash of different things. One term that you're going to hear a lot of people say is net decking. Net decking is going online and finding the list of somebody that's done well with a specific deck and taking that exact deck and building it to a T and taking it to a tournament. And the way that you do that is there's actually a website called Limitless TCG, which posts all the decks from the regional tournaments and special event tournaments, which we didn't cover special events, but those are kind of like regionals.
It's regionals without a prize payout.
Yeah.
That's the only difference.
Because certain countries or certain locations don't allow for prizing because they consider it gambling and different laws. But anyways, so they'll take the day 2 finishers and put those decks up online so that way you can see the deck list. So this is really cool that you get to do that, so that way you can see how different decks are playing out in the meta. A lot of the content creators will actually review the decks that did well at specific regionals and special events, so that way you can see how other top-level players are viewing them and how they would play against them sometimes.
Or they'll look at your list and say, oh, they played it, I guess that's cool, and then go to another.
Yeah, sometimes they do it. Yeah.
That's what one of the players did. He's like, oh, Cloth made day 2. I guess that's cool. Charizard was there. Okay, now we're going to talk about this deck.
Yeah, exactly. So limitlesstcg.com. I'll put that link into the chat as well. So that is definitely a resource there.
And to put this out there before we continue, net decking isn't bad.
No.
There used to be a stigma with it because people will think, oh, I'm not creating my own deck. I'm not building my own team. I'm less of a trainer in that way. You are not. Okay, player. Let's have a 1-1 heart-to-heart right now. All because you net deck a deck does not mean you're a bad trainer. We do it all the time. We have lives. We're not professional Pokemon players.
I wish we were, but
yeah, we wish we were. But if you have time to just look and see what did well, and you practice your butt off, and you do well, that's all that matters.
Yep.
So don't listen to the other trainers out there saying if you're not creating your own deck, you're not putting in that spice that makes it unique, you're less of a trainer. You are not. You are a great trainer.
Yep.
And follow your heart, and if you have only time to take one deck and practice the living crap out of it,
do that.
Do it.
Yep.
Okay, now back.
So, like we said, we will follow some content creators. We've mentioned some of them before. Andrew Mahone, Tricky Jim. He is someone that has placed at Worlds multiple times. Pretty much streams almost daily. Used to stream almost daily. He's
preoccupied right now.
He and his wife just introduced a new baby into the world, so congratulations to them. But I'll definitely include the link to his YouTube channel. He touches on a lot of the decks, both for standard, which we both love, as well as GLC, which we've talked about before. He's actually the kind of champion and creator of GLC. So
he is the god of GLC. He created it. It's his his baby. Everything we do is because of him.
So
Another YouTuber that we follow a lot is Little Dark Fury. He is a rogue deck creator, but he is competitive as well. He's actually done really well this season already.
Yeah.
I follow him on Twitter. I think he has his Challenge and Cup wins.
I believe he
done.
does. Yep.
Like all first places.
Yep. So he's really good. Those have been around the competitive scene for a while. No, Azul Garcia Guerrero. He also Azul GG on all the socials. So he's a good. If you can get into the way that he explains things, he's a good content creator. As someone who is an educator, I have a gripe with how he explains things.
But you cannot disagree with his results.
Oh, he's an amazing player. I'm not disagreeing that he is an amazing player. I would love to be able to even just play against him and then go, tell me what I did wrong.
Yeah.
but
yeah.
For content wise, if you're someone who's like me that is educated in ways of educating, he can be I have gripes. That's my cling clang.
I will say lately, Azul GG is actually a very good resource for Stellar Crown going forward.
He's done a lot.
He's done a lot of new deck archetype videos.
Yes.
He's broken them down and he's done solitaire games to see how they play with
I
open
actually do
hands.
like that. People have said played solitaire games before, and I haven't figured out a good way to do it. I do have to say the way he presented that was actually really good, so I do have to give him credit for that.
And he's been doing that a lot lately. Time recording about like last month or so. So if you're looking to new formats, look at your these YouTubers.
Yep, and we'll include the links for their channels in the show notes.
Yeah, and there's many more out there. These are just 3 that we like, that we follow. They all come from big communities as well. So like Mahomes has Full Grip, LDF is part of the Greater Toronto area, Azul has his own crew.
Yep.
They all have they're all reputable.
Yep. And then the other kind of way that you can get into building or getting a deck is the league battle decks. These are things that are put out by Pokemon. 2 that we're going to talk about today are Miraidon and Gardevoir, just because those are the 2 that are, as of the day after this is posted, Gardevoir will be available. It's already available?
It's been available.
Oh, okay. I thought it was coming out with Stellar Crown.
No.
Oh, I misunderstood that then.
These 2 decks, you literally can take out of the box and go to the tournament and play.
Yep.
They're all standard legal cards. We checked. We wanted to make sure.
So, Miraidon, everybody that knows about Miraidon, we've talked about Miraidon. It's a big beat stick deck. You're trying to get energy onto your attackers quickly and be able to take knockouts quickly as well.
The difference with this list, though, because it's not your typical, you go to play Limitless or LimitlessTCG.com and you see a Miraidon deck. These League Battle decks are maybe just a hair step below what some of these decks you'll see at like the regional level. But they're still good. With the Miraidon, it has the Regieleki VMAX.
Right.
Which adds damage to a basic electric type Pokemon. So now you're hitting for what, 250? Is it a 220 with your Miraidon with this attack? Like it's a pretty good strategy.
Yeah. No, it does help. But the problem is you're also putting VMAX on the board, and VMAX are 3 prizes instead of 2. So
it's one of the few VMAXs that are still out right now.
I know, right? And then Gardevoir is pretty much a very good build of Gardevoir. The problem that I have with it being a League Battle deck is the way that these are marketed is that you should be able to take them right out of the box and go play with them. Mm-hmm. Gardevoir decks, you have to. And if I could, through the podcast here, give you like huge air quotes and stuff like that, and emphasize have to understand sequencing.
Yes.
Because you're going to be, the way that this deck runs is with the Kirlia, you have a draw engine. But you have to discard a card to be able to draw the 2 cards. And the problem with that is you may look at your hand and go, oh, I have a Super Rod. I don't need Super Rod right now. I need other cards. Discard the Super Rod. 5 turns from now, you may need that Super Rod.
Yeah.
So you have to understand that you're going to have consequences for what you do later on in the game. So you need to understand how certain actions early on are going to impact decisions you'll have later on in the game. So one thing that I'm going to stress, and Dean, I think you agree with me on this, is you need to, once you're starting to get into the competitive scene, understand your basics of the game.
Yes.
You have to understand those, because not only, like we talked about, once you get to the more competitive tournaments, your punishments, as I want to say, unfortunately, are going to be more strict. You're going to get prize card penalty losses. You're going to get your penalties, and you're not going to get nice people like Dean and I, where we may go, all right, I'm not going to call a judge. You're definitely going to get people calling judge when you make mistakes.
And the players you go against, especially at the regional level and above, they know these rules inside and out.
Right.
There's a lot at stake here. Reprising, money, chance to go to Worlds. They will know these mechanics, and we're not talking about misplays. We're talking more about, an example, like for me at a Orlando regional a couple years ago, I was going against a Vikavolt deck. They attached Speed Lightning Energy to Ditto V Max, or Ditto V, and then draw 2 cards. Can you tell me what was wrong with that?
I wasn't playing during that time, so I don't know.
So, Speed Lightning Energy, you can only draw the cards if you attach it to a Lightning Pokemon. Ditto is a colorless Pokemon.
Oh, right.
So, you're allowed to attach the energy.
But you can't draw the cards.
You can't draw the cards. He drew the cards.
And
I was nice about it, and I'm like, did you look at the cards? He's like, oh, yeah, I did. He's like, yeah, we need a call. I'm like, yep, judge.
Yep. Perfect example. I think I said I was going first or second, or at some point, I forget, of the Orlando tournament. It was so long. But round 2, I did something stupid, and I drew an extra card somehow, I forget what I did exactly to draw the extra card, but I somehow drew an extra card, double prize penalty. Simple little mistake.
And that can change
the whole entire outplay of your entire tournament.
Not saying it will. Sometimes you can get around it and still win your match.
Somehow. So you're looking at me because I still somehow won that game.
Well, I've seen it before too. It's not just with you.
Oh, I know, but
so knowing your mechanics, knowing the rules of the game is very important at the higher levels.
Yeah, and great ways to practice. Get a test group. Go to your local league. See who's going to these tournaments and say, hey, do you have time in the next couple weeks to play test with me? Whether that be on live, where you guys can build decks pretty much almost for free, and be able to kind of fine-tune it on live, then be able to build the deck in real life, or proxy them and build them playtest in person. I personally like playtesting in person because the randomization is truer, because with live, you're getting true randomization. True randomization doesn't actually happen in real life.
Yeah.
So, and there's reasons for that, and I watched a video today from Azul interviewing Stefan Eriksson.
Oh, yeah, he's great. He's great.
I mean, he's a stats professor. It was great to listen to. But anyways, I'm a stats nerd. So it was fun to see that. But definitely need to play test your way through to be able to know how to build your deck. You got to practice. You got to know your deck inside and out, and you got to know how your deck goes against different decks. That's the only way you'll do good in these tournaments here.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Finding some sort of way to play with someone else, like we said, router, it be in real life versus live. I agree with John. I like doing IRL better. You have a chance to talk through your plays with your teammates. You don't have the clock on live to kind of put the pressure on you when you're just trying to learn the deck. But on the flip side, having that pressure in live helps you make quick decisions and can help you with learning your deck quicker as well. So both will have its pros and cons.
All right. So that's pretty much our talk on getting into competitive play. If you guys have anything that we missed, definitely reach out to us, and we can definitely talk about that at a different level. But I think it's time to get into some trivia.
Yes.
All right. So this is the first time that we're doing this, that it's just you and I.
Yes.
So we get to officially start the track here of who's going to be on the leaderboard. I mean, you technically have 3 points from last week.
And then, and behind the scenes, they quiz me with some other questions after the fact, and they're like, "Are you memorizing these websites?" I'm like, "No, I'm not. I just have too much free time on my hands."
So, I think today deserves a die roll to see who's going to be the official starter. How about you?
Let's do that.
All right, heads or tails?
I'll go heads.
It is heads. Do you want to ask me first, or do you want to go first?
I'll ask you first, since you all asked me first last time.
All right.
So this was inspired by actually the Pokemon Instagram. So if you went on that this week,
nope, not at all.
So they are celebrating the Year of the Dragon.
Yes, in Japan. Yes, it's Year of the Dragon.
So mine's a two-parter. I'll give you credit if you get at least one of it right.
Okay.
What is the lightest and heaviest Dragon-type Pokemon?
Heaviest Dragon type is going to be... I want to say Dragonite. But I don't... That's my go-to gut feeling, but I have a feeling that that's not it. So, I'm going to go... Lightest... I really... Okay, so lightest. I'm gonna go Regidrago as the lightest and Gyarados as the heaviest.
Strike one.
Yeah,
for both.
Yeah, I mean, I know Gyarados at points is considered dragon, but I don't know if they would in this case. All right. Actually, is lightest Dratini? Lightest to me is Dratini. Okay, no.
Are we counting that as strike two?
Yeah, we're counting that as strike two for lightest.
So you have one more guess for lightest and two more guesses for heaviest.
Heaviest, I'm going to go Rayquaza.
Strike two.
All right. Oh, gosh. What is Haxorus's basic? Oh, crap. Isn't it lightest is Axnew?
Strike three.
Dang it.
So you got one more guess for heavy.
Yeah, and I don't know.
And if you get it, I'll give you full credit.
Oh, I know. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Oh, why do I have a feeling you're going to tell me lightest is Kyurem for some stupid reason? Is Regidrago the heaviest?
It is not.
Okay, I was going to say, for some reason, like, it clicked that might be, but no. Okay, what are they? And I'm going to kick myself when you tell me.
You're going to kick yourself for the lightest.
What is it?
You've been playing with it. Applin. That is a dragon Pokemon.
It is a dragon type. I've been playing with it as grass type, though, and it didn't even click. Oh my gosh.
It is, if I remember correctly, like 0.08 pounds.
Well, yeah, because it's a freaking apple.
Yeah. The heaviest, Eternatus. I don't remember the weight on that.
Oh, that makes sense, because it's freaking huge.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, yep.
The Eternatus, I wasn't... If you would have got... Like, if you know...
I played Eternatus. That was my spice in Mew VMAX. I played Radiant Eternatus in Mew VMAX. That was my spice for the Orlando
If you
Regionals.
remember Sword and Shield, you'll see how massive that Pokemon is.
Yeah. I did play Sword and Shield, regrettably, but yeah. Okay. Yep. Cool. See, I regret introducing this idea to you, because you're just going to kick my butt every week. But alright.
I'll try to go easier.
No, that was a good one. I like that.
Honestly, that
made me think. So I like that.
I saw it on the Instagram for Pokemon. I'm like, this is a good trivia thing.
Yeah, that was great. Alright. So lastly, we have, as always, our Rogue Deck of the Week.
Am I not going to get a question?
No.
Or is that next week?
That's next week.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 a week.
Got it.
We were just doing it. We did it that way last week because we had three.
Oh, three
of us. Yeah, so it was easier to do it that way.
Well, now you have more time to.
I already have mine for you because I know you in movies. You're not gonna get it.
Oh yeah.
Do you want me to do it? Do you want to just do it? We do each, and we just see who goes first.
Sure, let's do that.
All right. Who voiced Detective Pikachu in Detective Pikachu?
Ryan Reynolds.
Dang it.
I saw that so many times.
The one movie you actually saw.
I actually watched it on my way to Toronto last year.
The one movie you actually saw. For those of you that don't know, I love watching movies.
I don't.
And Dean does not. And so I was like, I got this. He doesn't watch movies. Yeah, no. The one movie he actually watched.
I thought you were going to ask me about, like, Pokemon 2000 or Mewtwo Strike Back or something like that. I'm like, I'm kind of going to be SOL on that one.
Good to know. What is the runtime of Pokemon 2000 now?
2000.
But, alright. So, that is trivia for the week. You got to see us in our goofy selves here. But, lastly, we have our Rogue Deck of the Week. And this week, I brought the Rogue Deck of the Week.
You've been talking about this all week, and every time you're texting me about this
I'm undefeated with it. I am undefeated with it.
Nice.
So,
and you're on Master Ball level too, right?
I got to Master Ball level with it. That's why I'm back at Master Ball level,
nice.
baby. Yes. All right. So the Rogue Deck of the Week this week is Gengar EX, and Gengar EX actually got a lot of boost with the Shrouded Fables, and it hasn't hit me because I haven't been playing on live the last couple of weeks. But I had some more free time this week, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna play before they put us on hiatus for the Stellar Crown update. And so I actually saw this from LDF, one of the creators that we mentioned a little earlier. And what happens with this is you are still trying to build up Gengar EX. Gengar EX is a stage 2. And like we've mentioned before, unfortunately with the meta right now, stage 2s, if they aren't dragon based there, if they aren't Charizard, you're kind of not playing it right now.
It's very difficult to play stage 2 in this format.
It is. So what's nice about this is with the Pecharunt EX, with its binding the chain ability, I can't remember the ability off the top of my head. Subjugating chains. There we go. It can move Gengar from the bench to the active because it is a dark type Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it gets poisoned when that happens. So we can add Binding Mochi to Gengar EX. So now Gengar EX is doing 200 damage on an attack. Which, 200 damage...
It's okay.
But its attack is called Tricky Steps. And for all who know about Gengar, Gengar is my favorite Ghost-type Pokemon. Because he just does weird stuff. And with Tricky Steps, he has the ability that you can move one of the energy from the active Pokemon to a bench Pokemon, even when you knock it out. So,
I didn't know about that.
Even when you knock it out. So, for decks like Charizard that are only running 5 energy, I like putting them on, Rotom or Lumineon, or on the Fezandipiti, and just spreading it out. So, oh yeah, by the way, you can attack now. And also, it has an ability where if you are attaching energy from your hand, or your opponent is attaching energy from their hand to a Pokemon, you take 20 damage. And it stacks. So if you have 3 Gengar in play, you're doing 60 damage just by having your opponent
attach an energy,
which they kind of need to do. So it's a lot of fun. You're running TM Devo as well, just to kind of take advantage of evolutions that are running Rare Candy. I beat Kingdra that way.
Oh, nice.
Because they had used all 4 of their Rare Candies, and it was late in the game, and I just went TM Devo, and they were like, I concede.
Yeah, because at that point they can't
do anything,
because that relies on the Kingdra engine so much, and if they Rare Candy to it, unless they play the Seadra, which they most likely don't.
They played 1 Seadra, and I had knocked it out already. So yeah. You play a Roaring Moon just to have that ability. You're playing Janine's Secret Art, so that way you can do energy to your dark Pokemon. You're running the Cleffa, so that way you can have a draw engine early on. You're running Fezandipiti for a draw engine. You're running Bibarel for a draw engine. You're trying to draw as much as possible with this deck, so that way you can get your Gengar set up and just watch the turmoil start happening. I am currently, I think, 5-0 or 6-0 with this deck on live. So I've beaten, at the very least, 2 Charizard. I've beaten a Kingdra. I beat a Roaring Moon. Not a Roaring Moon, a Raging Bolt.
Okay.
I beat a Raging Bolt with it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because you're doing the 200, and then if they have to... Does it work when you do the Ogerpon ability, too? Because you have to tap energy from hand, right?
100%.
Oh.
And if I go, oh, hey, I'm going to move the fighting energy to the Ogerpon, or if I'm going to move the lightning energy to the Ogerpon, guess what? You don't run E-Switch.
Oh, they don't. Deck. That's right.
Most Raging Bolts don't run E-Switch.
Or if they do, it's like 1.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's fun. So, definitely a fun deck. I'll put the deck list into the show notes here. But, yeah, I think that's all I've got on my side. It's been definitely a fun week, but I think we're going to have more fun with the Stellar Crown decks here. I think we're going to playtest after this here, too, for a little bit.
So. Oh, yeah. And then this weekend, we're going to be hanging out a lot. Us and our buddy Joe and another one of our friends. We're going to watch Baltimore Regionals, going to playtest some Stellar Crown, and have a nice little vacay with our friend group. So I'm excited. But yeah, that's this week's episode. I know it was a lot of information. Feel free to listen to this several times, or even just find friends that are probably more knowledgeable than us, and then just talk to them. Competitive, there is a lot to it, but once you actually start the conversation and start the journey yourself, it really isn't as bad as what people make it seem like. It is a lot of info, but it's one of those things, like, once you actually start doing it, it's like riding a bike. You just keep going, and it just becomes second nature.
Yep. But that's it from us. Keep having fun playing your sneaky decks through the seasons.
See y'all.
Hey, all you rogues out there. We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor and one of our home leagues at For Honor and Glory. They have all you need for your card game and TTRPG needs. Some upcoming events they have are the Stellar Crown pre-release dates for the next set for the TCG on Sunday, September 1st at 12 p.m., Tuesday, September 3rd at 5:30, Saturday, September 7th at 12, and Sunday, September 8th at 12 as well. You can also go over to forhonorandglory.com and use discount code ROGUE24. That's forhonorandglory.com and discount code ROGUE24 for 10% off your entire online order. All right, have fun playing your sneaky decks through the seasons.